Rick Grinnell joins us. Rick, I know you're on the road. It's been a busy time for you. We've seen clips of you really on the road doing your thing. Right now, we are only about 41 days away from the election. I wanted to get your perspective on where things stand right now as you've been visiting key swing states. You've been in Pennsylvania. You've been all over the place. Where are we at?
Look, I think that this election is boiling down to the obvious issues that we all see, which is two escalating wars. They're not getting better, they're getting worse. Gas prices, the economy, and the border. And Kamala Harris is really struggling to show that while she's in office, she can do anything about any of this.
And Rick, as you continue through this, these swing states and the campaign trail, one issue that I think is in the forefront of everyone's mind is foreign policy. And we're seeing how the Biden foreign policy is playing out. We saw him arguing at the UN this morning, basically for the Abraham Accords. He said, Israel needs to have full recognition and normalization with its neighbors, something that I feel like had the momentum and was on the way there until he got involved with the foreign policy. We see Ukraine escalating. We see Israel escalating with Hezbollah to the north. Do you think that the American voter is paying attention to what's going on in the foreign policy realm, or is it really all domestic politics at this point?
Well, I think it's mostly domestic politics. Certainly people are going to vote on how they feel. But both wars, the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel, are kind of front and center for everybody. They're feeling it. They're seeing it. The coverage is certainly prominent. The mainstream media, legacy media, for all of their activism with Democrats and their preference for Kamala Harris, they're still covering these wars. I mean, we have the war in Israel is getting worse, not better. We have an escalation in the north. We see now Hezbollah really having the means to fight back against Israel. And what that means is for regular Americans, they're confused as to why a terrorist organization is flush with cash. Why does Hezbollah have the ability to strike and launch a war? And I think the answer is because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They've funded this. There is a clear direct link to the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Iran, who turns around and gives it to their proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. And so I do think that this is something that the American people are witnessing, outraged by, and also scared by, because we know we have an open border. We know that we have individuals in this country that want to do us harm, that have made it across the southern border. And many people are wondering if World War III is going to break out. Are we going to get hit? These are emotional issues that regular Americans are very concerned about.
Yeah, Rick, and I think that happened this morning also, or last night. A lot of us saw these articles coming out that showed that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, was saying that the UNRWA employees who took part in the terror attacks in Israel now have immunity, absolute immunity from prosecution. These are ones where the families of victims tried to take it to court and say they wanted some justice, and they said, no. They have absolute immunity because we have a deal. The UN has a deal back from the 40s. We can waive it, but we're not going to waive it today. And the Department of Justice backs it up. Of course, this is the same Department of Justice who argued that a sitting president would have no immunity.
Yeah, look, I think this is, backwards. We certainly have lost common sense in America on so many issues. There should never be immunity for any individual who's helping a terrorist. And I don't care what the justification is. You're not supposed to give aid and comfort to a terrorist or a terrorist organization and then somehow turn around and say, yeah, but I work for the United Nations, and we care about all people. The reality is we as the West, we as people with common sense can easily distinguish between an aid worker giving aid to individuals who are in need and giving aid and comfort or a secret space or a strategy to terrorists who want to attack Israel. I think this is an easy case to figure out. I don't understand why we would just have blanket immunity for anyone who works for UNRWA.
And Rick, final question here, but yesterday, as a result of some filings against the attempted assassin against President Trump, the Department of Justice released that he had a manifesto and really a bounty that he had placed. And there's been a lot of criticism. We see many times when there is a mass shooter or some other sort of almost domestic terror incident, the media will refuse to publish names. They won't say, they won't release manifestos. They won't release motives. But here we see the media running wild with these claims of a bounty that if he were to fail, that he would offer up for someone to finish the job. How can our media take themselves seriously when they are so freely publishing this?
Yeah, it's very reckless. It's dangerous. We used to have in this country kind of a thoughtful process about what we're doing to promote individuals and promote the actions of killers or people who commit mass murders, or people in the situation of wanting to kill someone. And these are such a serious moments that I don't understand how their political activism in the media somehow comes into this case. But again, we have to be able to bring back common sense. When you promote someone's ideology and their desire to have another person come behind them if they failed, or to give the motivation, almost aid and comfort through money and sources like this, it's very concerning to me that within our newsrooms across the United States, there seems to be a total desire to help the Democrats at all costs and a justification for all of the actions, because to stop Donald Trump is the ultimate goal for so many people. And so they're doing by any means necessary. How do we stop Trump? Well, it doesn't matter. Just stop him. This is indicative of what we're witnessing in the media when we highlight language that partisans are having to call Donald Trump a threat to democracy or a Nazi sympathizer or a Nazi supporter. This is terrible language, because what you're really signaling is to unstable people that they should, by any means necessary, stop Donald Trump.
Rick, thank you so much for joining us always, and I know you're on the road, so we hopefully will get in touch with you soon and have another visit with you and hopefully get you on camera so people can see what you're up to right now, because it is a busy time for all of us, and it's going to continue to be busy over for the rest of the year.